Having a strong mind in a weak generation is key, because most of you guys who are watching this video, you're going to be a leader in your class, because people don't put in the necessary effort to get to that top 1, 2, 3%, right? I mean, let me just list off some facts for you right now. Average body fat is 33% or 29%, something like 29 to 30%. So the average person, the average American is overweight. That's number one. Average American has less than $1,000 in their bank account. That's number two. So it's so easy to bypass average nowadays. It's quite easy to surpass the average person. And that's because most people have very weak mindsets, right? And this is why on this channel we hammer about the mindsets, the goals, the habits. We hammer about that because it all comes down to your habits. If you don't have the right habits installed in your mainframe, in your subconscious mind, then you're never going to get there. Most people, they don't work out, so they don't do it for the rest of their lives. They never think to themselves, oh, this is something I can do. You know, this is something I can compete in. They never think that to themselves. They just don't do it, and they don't do it for the rest of their lives. And that's why something I've been trying to do, and something I recommend you guys do, is do something hard or difficult every single day. And it doesn't have to be a workout, right? It doesn't have to be a workout. It just has to be something that is very hard for you. Like for me, it's not really a workout anymore, unless it's a run or something like that. When it just comes to weightlifting, that's pretty easy for me. I enjoy weightlifting. But when it comes to 3-4 mile run, that's actually quite difficult for me. So do something that's difficult for you, because what this does is actually reduce your dopamine, because that's the number one thing that's kind of plaguing our generation today, is how much dopamine we're getting every day. This phone right here, it's giving us so many dopamine shorts, reels, TikToks. All of this stuff is just pumping our brain full, and we're going through a doom scroll session. And I do it too. So, sometimes it's like you gotta like hypnotize yourself out of it, right? And what that's doing is that's taking your reward system and basically shitting on it. And that's why our generation is so weak, and that's why we're so spineless. That's why a lot of these agendas, when you're gonna talk about it on YouTube, that's why a lot of these agendas are happening, right? Because our generation doesn't even have a spine to stand on. And a lot of that comes from the huge bouts of dopamine that we get. I mean, when we're in the wild, right? When we're in the wild, we got dopamine from what? Fruits, berries, going on a big hunt, taking over another tribe. We had to accomplish things in order to get dopamine. But now dopamine is so easy to get, and that's literally a part of your reward system. So it's like, if you have too much dopamine from scrolling, vaping, you're gonna eventually come to a point where you don't want to do anything. Because why would you do anything when your dopamine receptors already have been hijacked? When your reward system isn't even gonna give you the reward. You already feel rewarded for your behavior. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna keep going towards the easiest behavior. So reducing your dopamine is key to having a strong mind in this weak generation. A few things I've been doing, right? Quitting bad habits like nicotine, vaping, deleting social media apps. Of course, I'm a content creator, so I have to kind of post, but I'm focusing on YouTube right now. I'm not gonna focus on my Instagram, so I'm just deleting Instagram, getting off of it. Because reducing dopamine, deleting social media apps, and then getting your dopamine from environments where it's more appealing, right? Going on a run, going on a hike, working out, These things actually push yourself forward, push your mind forward. Finishing studying, reading a book, these things will actually push you forward while not giving you so much dopamine and inducing that environment. Now you can, play video games. Like, you can do these things, but just set a timer for them. Only do them for like an hour, 1 hour. 1 hour a day is not going to kill you, but only do it for that much. And then remind yourself that this is hijacking my reward system. And if I continue to indulge in this pleasure, then I'm not going to indulge into the pleasures that are actually going to push me forward. The thing you got to realize about this weak generation is none of us have a persistency anymore. None of us have patience anymore. So everybody wants things fast, right? They see the fast cars on Instagram, they see the jacked bodies, and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna take steroids and I'm gonna gamble. That's what I'm gonna do in order to shortcut life, right? That's what our generation wants the most. It's a shortcut life. It's to get it all in their early 20s, in their teens, right when they're out the womb, get it all and not really earn anything. There's not much underlining respect nowadays for the earned principle. For the guy who's making $100,000 a year, but he's like 35, he's like 32, but he's still making like 10 grand a month, but he's like 32. People want that shit when they're 21, 20. Like, I want it too, but I also have the intelligence and the awareness. I have the awareness to realize that that's a very small percent of the population. And you can grind all day on all night and probably still fall a little bit short. You gotta have patience, because with patience, anything comes. With patience and persistence, anything comes. My last point is that people will drop off, man. The cool kids in high school, the cool kids in college, they're gonna drop off. They don't have the patience, they don't have the persistency, they don't have the knowledge. They don't seek knowledge. They think, oh, after high school, I got all my knowledge. Oh, after college, I got all my knowledge. So these people are reading books. They're not expanding their brains, Because of that, over time, they're going to become weaker and weaker. The guy who was on the football team, so they become fat, they become lazy, and because they're already fat and lazy, they don't think like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna get off my ass, I'm gonna actually work out, and I'm gonna start that business, and I'm gonna do this. No, they're just gonna continue in that cycle because everyone around them is doing what? The exact same thing. So it gives them that sense of comfortability, and they just drop off. And there's people you're gonna see who you thought, oh, I thought this guy was gonna be a millionaire. I thought this guy was going to be him. I thought this guy was going to be, Jeff Bezos V2. But what happens? No, they drop off. They don't really do anything for the rest of their lives. High school is their peak, and you're going to see this too. Most people's peak is going to be high school, and it's never going to get past that because they're going to fall into average. They're going to fall into mediocrity. And they're not going to want to even push themselves more due to the other points that we already mentioned. The dopamine-inducing environments, the averageness of everybody else, the weakness of everybody else. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it for today. If you have a strong mind in this weak generation, you can really go further than anyone else. That's the real way to shortcut life. Have a strong mind in a very weak generation.